When you feel alone and confused, nothing seems familiar, not like it used to. Give it to God. Give it to God, you'll find an answer. Give it to God, and you will find your way. Nothing's too big, nothing's too small. God hears us all when we pray. Pay attention to your intention. Keep your eye on every good thing. Don't get stuck hiding in the past. You might miss what you really want to see. Give it to God. And sometimes we feel prayers go unanswered. I know that I do. But stay in touch. And then somehow, some way, with faith, we're gonna find our way through. Give it to God, you'll find an answer. Give it to God, you're gonna find your way. Nothing's too big, nothing's too small. God hears us all when we pray. Give it to God.
Please join me in prayer. There is but one God, one life, and that life is my gift from God that I am living in the right here and right now. Spirit, the thing I globally call our Creator, is ever present in all situation, people, places, and things. There is nowhere it is not. It is exactly where we are never alone, as the song so nicely states. I can see it on a stranger's face walking down the street. I can see it in a child's laughter. I can see it in the beautiful, warm weather that we are now having in Colorado Springs, whether it's raining. The sun may not be shining, but it is definitely behind the cloud cover. Always present, always beautiful, and expressing only the way the individual can in its own way. And what I know for New Dawn is that we are blessed to have Reverend Jenn speak her words that come from inside her open heart. By the grace of God, words that are not just written somewhere else, they come forth from a divine on high. And for our helping hands that keep the community going, whether it be our technical team, our musicians, the singer, the food that is prepared so nicely for us, for the people that are watching us virtually, for the community that is here, present and in person, supported by the consciousness of my fellow practitioners, all coming together in love as one on this strong spiritual foundation. And I am so grateful for that, and grateful to be able to say these words as they are spoken into the divine. And I thank God each and every day for this support. And together we say, and so it is. And for the selected readings for today, if we remain humble and grounded in nature's wisdom, our mind will guide us safely through the confines of unawareness and blind ignorance. Flying starts from the ground. The more grounded you are, the higher you will fly. That's from Goodreads. A spiritual awakening is not usually pleasant. It often feels like confusion, frustration, anger, sadness, grief, or just being out of place. A spiritual awakening can be uncomfortable and challenging because it is an intense time of personal growth. Despite how difficult it may feel, you are not crazy. You are merely evolving. And from our founder, the honored Ernest Holmes, faith is a mental attitude that is so convinced of its own idea, which it is so completely accepting, that any contradiction is unthinkable and impossible.
Many years ago, the world was threatened by the Asuras, which is another word for demons. They pulled together and they decided that they were going to overthrow the gods and gain control of the earth. The demons and their leader came forth. The gods trembled with outrage. In desperation, the gods turned to their Shakti, which is their female energy, and the beautiful goddess Durga. And she stepped forward because she had protected them so many times before. She was obliged to do it again. She rode in on a tiger, her champion mount. She altered her form many times during the battle in an attempt to overpower the demons. However, there was a challenge. The demon leader, Raktabija, was quickly advancing with the many demons. And what he had instilled in himself was that any time anyone struck out at him and caused him any harm, any single drop of blood that fell to the ground became 1,000 more demons. Clearly, the odds were against the gods. The armies rose up, the demons advanced, they rode in on elephants, they rode in on horse-drawn chariots, and they were annihilating the gods of the time. The whole universe began to shake. There was a thundering roar. And what was decided was that Durga needed help, and she called forth Kali. Kali was an interesting being, and she came in with a rage of energy. She looked very frightening. Her eyes appeared to be blood red, deep within her skull. She had a third eye flaming up over her head, and she came in charging, knowing that she had a task to complete, and it was to overcome the demons. She turned her gaze on the armies, and many fell lifeless before her just because of her gaze. She set out a loud and petrifying shriek, and more fell to the ground as they heard her. She began to cackle wildly. She advanced on her enemies. She reached out with claw-like hands and shoveled some of the remaining demons into her gaping mouth. A lot of detail, I know. Many turned away from her in fear, and all they could hear was her shrieking laughter. But she didn't stop there. She saw what Raktabija was doing. She saw what was coming forth, and so she devoured him. Such a simple solution, right? But then here's what happened. She got kind of into what she was doing. And she kept shrieking, and she kept dancing, and she kept shouting, and more of the demons died. And what happened was the gods were beginning to be in jeopardy because of her energy. And they were having a difficult time figuring out how to stop her now that they were succeeding, because she was cutting loose, and she was going forward. Just so happens that her husband was the god Shiva. He tried to get her attention. He tried to tell her to stop. He tried to get her to pay attention to what she was doing, and she was too caught up in it. And so he began to do some things that were putting his life at risk. And he was becoming frail and injured. And finally, in a last attempt of what he could possibly do, he fell to the ground under her feet. And as she shrieked and laughed and screamed and danced, suddenly she became aware that her precious Shiva was beneath her. And it brought her back to the awareness of who she is, what she's about, and she was able to reel it all back in. The world had been saved. Shiva's quick and selfless thinking had balanced the dance of destruction. With the world now safe, the gods returned to their regular routines. This story comes from the Hindu faith. And I wanted to use this, obviously our talk title today is Standing on Shiva, but I wanted to use this as we bring it into context today because there's so much we could learn from this. I mean, there's so many pieces of this, and I didn't want to go into great depth because the Hindu faith has some very serious descriptions of a lot of the things that were going on back in the day, and I wasn't completely certain how that would turn out on a Sunday afternoon. So I've cushioned it just a little bit. But think about this for a minute. What is the message here? How often do we get caught up in the negativity of life, the demonic behaviors, the evil, if you want to call it that? We have so many names for it. How often do we get caught up in it and then we get stuck there and we can't get past it, we can't get out of it until something or someone helps us ground ourselves, reminds us of our heart space, reminds us of our love. And so what we're looking at today is that when she is standing on Shiva, she is standing on the truth, in the truth, and that's the example for each of us. So let's see what we can do with this throughout this week, for each and every one of us. I have a quote from Ken Wilber. Thus, we might be able to understand that in all mystical traditions the world over, one who sees through the illusion of the opposites is called liberated, because they are freed from the pairs of opposites. They are freed in this life from the fundamentally nonsensical problems and conflicts involved in the world of opposites. They no longer manipulate the opposites as one against the other in search for peace, but they instead transcend them both, not good versus evil, but beyond good and evil. Not life against death, but a center of awareness that transcends both. Wow, let's take this and look at this for a moment. The spell, which is what she was under, of illusion, can sometimes make us feel a little bit out of sorts, can make us feel a little bit distracted, can make us feel like we're having out-of-body experiences. There's so much to do in our world today, and some of us believe there are demons to slay. We can get pulled out of that knowledge of our truth if we get too caught up in the negative aspect. One of the things we can do is remember our 10 spiritual principles. They are oneness, love, creation, spiritual beings, spiritual laws, heaven, the threefold nature, creative process, freedom, and eternal life. Focusing on these takes us out of that position of looking at opposition, and looking at the negative, at looking at the downside, at looking at what's against us, and instead turning our attention to what is for us. We can also practice those wonderful, beautiful spiritual practices we know of, such as meditation, spiritual mind treatment, sometimes just self-awareness, just paying attention. Where am I devoting my time? Am I looking for the negative? Did I find a story in the news and now I'm doing all this research and 3 days later I'm still digging into this negativity and this challenge? Because one of the things we know is that when we see that harm that's come to the world, when we see that negativity, when we see those challenges, those are opportunities for us to turn to prayer. And yes, sometimes there's more at stake, there's more needed, there's more required of us, but the first step is prayer. What we can also do is we can spend time with a practitioner. Our practitioners go through a lot of training, and they are trained to support each and every one of us in that shift of consciousness, in that need to change our mindset from the, oh, woe is me, and nothing's working, and how horrible it is, and life isn't getting any better, to that space of, I can work through this, I know something better is coming, and I know God's got me. I know Spirit's got me, because I'm standing in that truth, in that faith of Spirit divine. If we get away from our spiritual practices, which is too easy to do, isn't it? It's so easy. And when we get away from that, what happens is we get caught up in the latest cause. We get caught up in the latest drama or the cause for alarm. And then we can't seem to get past it. And when we can't get past it, we lose our own inner peace. And we can't bring peace to this planet if we've lost it within. So something else to think about. So we want to look at this week of standing on Shiva, standing in that truth. See past the frenzy, see past the illusions, to see past the thunder and lightning, to the essence of the situation. What can I learn from this? What must I let go of? And what must I shift in my consciousness to move forward? Simple, simple, beautiful questions. We can create effective solutions for ourselves and for the world. And we can apply the creative process in life-enhancing ways. Marion Woodman said, when the power comes from within us and we claim it as our own, then we no longer have to affirm ourselves by dominating others. I don't have to make you wrong to live in my power. I don't have to step into that righteousness mindset with anyone or any circumstance. And let me tell you, these are lessons I'm still learning. So I'm not up here speaking to you from a place of, I have perfected this, so pay attention. Pay attention, please, but I am far from perfecting this, any of this. So we can move out of that desire to be right. We can move out of that desire to make others wrong. You know what I noticed this week? I discovered something this week. I have an individual that's only been in my life for a couple of weeks now, and I have had some challenges, to put it lightly. And what I kept thinking was going to happen was at some moment in time, this individual is going to realize the impact some of their actions had had on me. And I don't know what I was wanting. Maybe I wanted an apology. Maybe I just wanted acknowledgement. I don't know. But I had an opportunity this past week to spend about 45 minutes, almost an hour with this individual. We were at the park in Monument at a free concert, and we were just having conversation here and there. So it wasn't like we were dedicated to a specific conversation. I came out of there and I thought, how did I forget that everyone's not like me? How did I miss the point that this individual was so totally different from me that they do not have it within their being to come forth in the way that I expected, that I was basically laying the groundwork for? What the heck, here's what you need to do. Absolutely not seeing it, not aware, not even close. And I was able to step back and take that deep breath and offer a prayer that I can be willing, that I can be open, that I can be accepting and embracing, and know when to put my boundaries in place and step away. But to just see that, oh my gosh, this individual is very, very different from me. Are you battling this week? Are you battling with someone in your life or with a circumstance that cannot be shifted to your expectation? Let's take a look at that this week, and let's kind of just breathe in that space and go to that place of, and it's okay. It's okay. As long as you don't move them into your house, we can pretty much work through it all. Yes, we can. So our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, says this: the world has learned all it should through suffering. We've suffered enough. There is no place in our science of mind teaching, in the Bible, or in many of philosophies, not all of them, that says we were put here to suffer. So quit making it up. Quit creating it. I mean, that's where I've been the last couple of days is, oh wait, I don't have to go there. I don't have to go there. I don't have to feel that ickiness. I don't have to feel that discomfort. I don't have to feel that self-righteousness, that frustration. I don't have to do that. I can make a different choice, and so can each and every one of us. We see the archetype in this story that I shared, representing the experience that no matter how hard we try, the problem continues to grow. In that battle, things were getting out of control, and it just kept getting worse. It just kept getting worse and worse. And it seems like when we are caught up in that there's no solution. It's just like when you are trying to solve a problem or find something. I've been looking for things a lot lately since I moved, so I'm going to use this analogy. You're trying to find something, and you're looking here, and you're looking there, and you're digging through boxes, whatever, wherever you're going to find whatever it is you're going to find. And as soon as you walk away, as soon as you let it go and decide, all right, it's not happening now, I'm just not going to think about it, immediately, at least for me, immediately I can see what I'm looking for, I can see exactly where I put it when I moved in, and I can go and collect it and use it for whatever I needed to. But we get into that frenzy of trying to figure it out. And I love the song that Karen sang for us right before the service, Give It to God, because, oh my gosh, that's our solution. The problem is we keep taking it back. Quit taking it back. And I'm not just saying this for all of you. I'm saying this for me. Quit taking it back. Give it to God. Let it go. That's why we say we let go and we let God. Pay attention to that. We are called, each and every one of us, to alleviate suffering. We are called to express compassion to the world. That's what we're here for. And what I have discovered is when I'm agitated with someone, and I don't much care for how they're showing up, I don't much care for how I'm showing up in that situation either, and I know in that moment, the last thing I'm thinking about is being compassionate. To try to relate to the way this individual thinks or processes or lives. So let's think about this week. Are there areas in our lives where we've gone a little overboard, that we need to halt that process, that we need to reel it in a little bit and give it to God? I have a quote here from Thich Nhat Hanh that I absolutely love. You may think that you have to combat evil and chase it out of your heart and mind, but this is wrong. The practice is to transform yourself. If you don't have garbage, you have nothing to use in order to make compost. And if you have no compost, you have nothing to nourish the flower in you. I love this. I'm trying to get rid of all the garbage, and my flowers are dying. Let's pay attention to this. This is something that we need. We need a bit of this. We need a little bit of ucky stuff going on. First of all, it helps balance out. It helps us to know when we can feel joyful and happy and at peace. So one of the things that was pointed out in the material that was offered for this talk today is this little piece of information, which I love this. I don't use the word evil very often because I don't believe in it. However, in the world that we live in, we need to look at it. We need to be paying attention. And the word evil is actually the word live spelled backwards. Now, when I first saw that comment, I thought, okay, and so, well, here's the so. Perhaps we can use this metaphor to realize that there aren't any truly evil people in the world. There are no evil people in the world. There are some people who are living backwards. They don't get it. They don't understand. They have not been enlightened. They haven't tuned into this type of philosophy. They know nothing about it. And their lives aren't working so well because they're living backwards. But it doesn't make them evil. It doesn't mean that we have to shun ourselves for them or, as the beautiful, amazing Keela was doing, destroy them. No, that's not what it's about. These individuals are lost to some degree. I won't say they're broken because I don't know that they are broken. But they are using their life force to create harm, devastation, chaos. Some of us love chaos. Instead of creating a greater expression of aliveness, of love, and joy. We don't have to sit down and have a conversation with them and encourage them to change their ways. We just get to show up as the example and allow them to assess for themselves. Because we're all here of free will, we all get to make our own decisions. So again, back to the story, it's about that piece of moving past the conditions around us, the energy around us, the things that are happening out here, going within, remaining grounded, acknowledging that we're grounded, and standing in truth. Dr. Holmes says, there is no process of healing, but there is generally a process in healing. This process is the time and effort which we undergo in our realizations of truth. Do you know the truth of who you are? Do you have a strong awareness of who and how you are, how you were created, what you are here to bring to the planet? Are you aware of the truth of your being? Ernest Holmes also says that spirit is forever taking form and forever deserting the form which it has taken. So isn't that a curious statement? I thought that was interesting. I don't know that I've ever thought of that in this context before, but we were listening to the story of the goddess and the gods and the demons, and changing their shape and changing their form and adjusting and shifting. And that's what we're here to do. Not to be the aggressor, not to destroy again, but to cope. My evolution is all about me continually evolving and transforming. I didn't know that was going to happen at my beautiful, ripe old age of 70 years old. I thought I would have learned it all by now. Surprise! Oh, that's not how it works. Anyway, so so again, we look at this idea of what we can do as we recognize, as we realize the truth of who we are. I have a beautiful quote from Dennis Merritt Jones. He says this about compassion. In its purest form, the word compassion means together with feeling. That means that when we enter into compassion, we heal all sense of separation from one another, and we allow ourselves to enter into the other's pain, not to fix it or heal it or even share in it, but simply to be there and allow the healing energy of our presence to say, "You are not alone, I am with you." Again, we can get caught up in the frenzy. We can get caught up in the crazy a little bit when we try to take over someone else's pain, someone else's challenges, and we're going to fix it for them. We're going to heal them. We're not taught that that's our role. So let's pay close attention to that this week and how much we're getting involved. 3 weeks ago, I moved from Aurora, Colorado to Monument, Colorado to be close to my family. And boy, are we close. And I'm loving it. But I have discovered that as the mom of 2 adult sons, with grandsons and daughters-in-law and all these people, that every time one of them has a challenge, I want to jump right in and fix it for them. And I've had to have some serious conversations with myself about that. They've been surviving quite a while without me doing that, so why would I think I need to jump in and do that now? It doesn't serve them. It doesn't show them the respect that I have for them, that they have the ability to take care of it themselves. And I know we don't use that word respect when we're jumping in and rescuing somebody, but it's a good word to use. Because if I respect you, then I know the same power that lives within me is the same power that lives within you, and you can choose a different experience just as I can. And I don't have to take it on for you. We must be patient. I had a conversation with our dear Marilyn Manasseh this week, and she was talking about, she thought she was patient, and she isn't. And I was like, and I get it. We live in a world where technology is giving us everything instantaneously. You don't have to be patient with that unless, you don't have good Wi-Fi. But, for the most part, we've got it right now, and we're getting trained that we should be able to make it happen in this moment, in this instant. Let that go, and let's choose to be patient with what's going on. If we were teachers in a school, we would compassionately find ways to support the learning of the slowest children. We must compassionately support the learning of all among us, even those who have a tendency to live backwards. Dr. Holmes also tells us this: the truth alone has the power to let the sunlight of the eternal God shine through the shadows of his imprisoned soul and set the captive free to know himself. The truth alone, not my truth, the truth. It is that truth that resonates for each of us, for all of us. There's a short story about Mahatma Gandhi when he was experiencing one of his hunger strikes. A man came to him whose daughter had been killed, and he was in a state of anguish. And he told Gandhi that he would stop fighting if Gandhi would end his strike and choose to eat. Gandhi knew the healing was deeper than just stopping the violence. He told the man that he would eat only when the father embraced the man who took his daughter's life. Forgiveness is what's going to heal us. Forgiveness is what's going to carry us through. Forgiveness and compassion are the two muscles we get to work on this week. We're going to start the forgiveness piece with our ritual this afternoon and carry that through the week. And now that we know a little bit more about what compassion is about, we can carry that through as well. Gandhi's request revealed his infinite wisdom that only when the broken are healed, no matter what they have done, will all of us, as an entire body of people, also heal. Please pray with me. As we close this service right now, we are very aware that the Spirit Divine is with us now. Just as it had been from the beginning of this service, just as it had been from the beginning of time, God is everywhere present, in, of, and through all things. God is in this room. God is with everyone online that watches this video. God is with everyone that we know and everyone that they know and everyone that we connect with, and on and on. All people are gifted with this beautiful awareness that we are of God and that God is with us, holding us, surrounding us, always, in all ways. And so this week, as we turn our attention to forgiveness, whether it be forgiveness of self or others, and as we turn our attention to practicing more compassionate behavior, we do so knowing that this is what we are called to do, because this supports us in our steps and our ideas and our actions to heal this planet and create a space where all people everywhere can work together, live together on this planet as one. How beautiful is that? And this week, may we look at all of our connections and not so much at all of our differences. And may we bless those around us. May we hold our arms out in loving embrace and hold others and give that gift, that beautiful gift of the love that lives within each and every one of us. I know life is perfect and blessed. I know it's all good, and I know it is all God. And so with gratitude for all of this, and for gratitude for the ability to pray, and for gratitude for the ability just to be connected with community face to face, I simply say thank you, thank you, thank you. Spirit, in all of this, knowing divine right action is happening right here, right now for every single one of us, we just let this go, we let it be, and together we say, and so it is.
Here we are together now in this perfect place, showing up with open minds and all this space. Anything can happen here. We all play a part. Welcome home to the center of the heart. Take my hand, here we go. What's the plan? You and I, we don't have to know. Take a breath. Let's make a start. Welcome home to the center of the heart. time and this perfect place. Open all our hearts and minds to all this God's space. Anything can happen here. We all have a part, we play a part. Welcome home to the center of God's heart. Take a breath, take my hand. Look for the truth inside of you. We don't have to have a plan. Take another breath. Let's make a start. Welcome home to the center of the heart. Ooh. Here we are together in the center of God's heart.
Hello, I'm Reverend Jenn Wilde, Senior Minister for New Dawn Center for Spiritual Living. New Dawn Center is a global community, and we welcome all people, all paths, all ways of thinking, all philosophies. So know that you are welcome here, and thank you for joining our online community.